I need to tell you something that will shake you to your core. Right now, at this very moment, you are teaching the man in your life exactly how to treat you. And if you have no boundaries, you are teaching him that you have no value. Listen to me carefully. A man does not chase what he already possesses completely. A man does not treasure what costs him nothing. And a woman without boundaries is like a temple with open doors, where the sacred becomes common, where the holy becomes ordinary, and where love transforms into contempt. This is not cruelty I speak. This is the ancient wisdom that has preserved relationships for thousands of years, hidden in the depths of Kabbalah, waiting for women like you to finally understand it. I am Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I spent 13 years in a cave, separated from the world, diving into the mysteries of creation, and I emerged with truths that burn like fire. I do not speak to please you. I speak to liberate you. And today, I will reveal to you something that most women discover too late. The man who does not respect your boundaries will never truly love you. He cannot. It is spiritually impossible. And if you continue down this path of saying yes when you mean no, of accepting crumbs when you deserve the feast, of allowing him to come and go as he pleases while you wait like a servant, you will wake up one day and discover that you have become invisible to him. You will have taught him that you are always available, always forgiving, always there. And nothing kills desire faster than absolute certainty. Let me paint you a picture that I see every day in the souls that come to me for guidance. A woman, perhaps 47 years old, divorced or separated, maybe never married but longing for deep connection. She meets a man. Finally, after so long, someone who makes her heart beat faster. The chemistry is undeniable. The first few weeks are intoxicating. He calls, he pursues, he seems genuinely interested. And then, slowly, imperceptibly at first, things begin to shift. He starts taking longer to respond to messages. Plans become vague. He cancels at the last minute, but always with a reasonable excuse. And she, because she is kind, because she is understanding, because she has been taught that good women are flexible and accommodating, she says it is fine. She adjusts. She makes herself smaller. She removes her own needs from the equation because she does not want to seem demanding or difficult or like those other women he probably complained about in his past. Do you recognize this? Be honest with yourself right now. Have you ever found yourself saying yes when every cell in your body wanted to say no? Have you ever accepted behavior that made you feel diminished? Telling yourself that love requires sacrifice, that relationships need compromise, that if you just give a little more, be a little more patient, a little more understanding, he will finally see your value and step up. I need you to understand something that will change everything. He already sees exactly what you have shown him. And what you have shown him is that your boundaries are negotiable, that your needs are optional, and that your presence is guaranteed regardless of his effort. This is where most women lose everything. Not because they loved too much, but because they loved without wisdom. The Kabbalah teaches us that the universe operates on the principle of resistance. Light is revealed through darkness. Strength is built through challenge. Desire is intensified through absence. When you remove all resistance from a relationship, when you make everything easy, when you require nothing, you collapse the spiritual structure that creates attraction. You become like water that has no container. You spread everywhere and nourish nothing deeply. Now, let me escalate this truth, because what I am about to tell you will create urgency in your soul. If you do not change this pattern immediately, If you do not establish clear boundaries today, right now, after hearing these words, you will not simply continue in an unsatisfying relationship. You will watch as he slowly loses all respect for you. And when a man loses respect for a woman, he does not suddenly regain it. He cannot unlearn what you have taught him. He will begin to see you as someone who is always there, always available, always willing to bend. And human nature, male nature specifically, does not cherish what requires no effort. He will start looking elsewhere, not necessarily for another woman at first, but for challenge, for excitement, for something that makes him feel alive. And then, inevitably, he will find someone who does have boundaries, someone who says no, someone who has other priorities, someone who does not revolve her entire existence around his attention. And he will come alive around her. That fire you saw in his eyes during your first dates will return, but it will be directed at someone else. And you will watch this happen. You will feel him pulling away, and in your panic, you will do exactly the wrong thing. You will give more. You will be more available. You will accept even less. You will become smaller and smaller, hoping that if you just disappear enough, if you just need little enough, he will stay. But he will not stay. Not really. He might remain physically, out of convenience or habit or guilt. But his spirit will already be gone. And the worst part, the part that will haunt you in your quiet moments, is that you will know you taught him how to treat you this way. You handed him the blueprint for your own heartbreak. But it does not end there. The real tragedy is what happens to you. When you live without boundaries, when you constantly override your own needs and instincts, something inside you begins to die. Your self-respect erodes, your confidence crumbles. You stop recognizing yourself in the mirror. You become anxious, clingy, constantly checking your phone, analyzing every word he says or does not say, living in a state of perpetual uncertainty. You lose your connection to your own inner light, that divine spark that makes you uniquely you. The Kabbalah teaches that every soul is a vessel for divine light. But when you make yourself empty to accommodate someone else's lack of effort, you block your own light. You become a shadow of who you were meant to be. And here is the cruelest irony. The smaller you make yourself, the less attractive you become to him. Men are drawn to women who shine, who know their worth, who occupy space in the world with confidence. When you diminish yourself, you remove the very quality that attracted him in the first place. So now you might be thinking, but Rabbi, what if I lose him by setting boundaries? What if he walks away? And this is where I need you to wake up to a profound truth. If he walks away because you have standards, because you require respect, because you value yourself enough to have boundaries, then he was never yours to lose. You did not lose a man. You lost an illusion. You lost someone who wanted the benefits of your presence without the responsibility of truly showing up for you. And good riddance. The universe just cleared space for someone who will treasure what you offer. But most women never get to find out if he would have respected boundaries because they never established them. They are so terrified of being alone, so convinced that they are somehow less desirable at this stage of life, so filled with societal messages about their decreasing value after 40, that they accept whatever they can get. They settle. They compromise. They tell themselves that this is just how relationships are, that perfection does not exist, that expecting respect and effort is asking too much. And year after year passes, and they wake up one morning at 55 or 60, and they realize they spent their most vital years accommodating someone who never truly valued them. They gave their best energy, their deepest love, their most authentic self to someone who treated them as optional. And by then, they have forgotten who they were before they started shrinking. I have seen this pattern destroy thousands of women. Not physically, but spiritually. I have watched vibrant souls become hollow. I have observed confident women transform into anxious question marks. And it always begins the same way. With the first boundary they did not enforce, the first time they accepted less than they deserved, the first moment they prioritized his comfort over their own self-respect. That first compromise opens a crack in the foundation, and soon the entire structure collapses. Are you feeling uncomfortable right now? Good. Truth should disturb you before it liberates you. If everything I have said so far feels comfortable, then you are not really hearing me. Let me go deeper, because we have not yet reached the bottom of this pit. When you have no boundaries, you are not just affecting this one relationship. You are establishing a pattern that will follow you into every future interaction. You are training yourself to be small, to be accommodating, to be less. And this training does not stay confined to romantic relationships. It seeps into how you show up at work, how you interact with your children, how you allow friends to treat you, how you navigate the world. A woman without boundaries becomes a woman without presence. She apologizes for existing. She thanks people for basic decency. She feels grateful when someone treats her with the minimum respect that should be automatic. She has taught herself that she must earn love through self-erasure, and this lie becomes the foundation of her entire life. And men can sense this. Not consciously, perhaps, but at a deep, instinctive level, men recognize women who do not value themselves. And here is what most relationship advice will not tell you. Many men will take advantage of this. Not because they are evil, but because humans generally do what they can get away with. If you show a man that he can have all of you while giving very little of himself, most men will accept that arrangement. It is comfortable for him. He gets companionship, affection, perhaps intimacy, with minimal effort or commitment. Why would he change a situation that serves him so well? He will not wake up one day and suddenly decide to treat you better out of nowhere. Change only happens when the current situation becomes uncomfortable, when there are consequences, when something is required of him. But without boundaries, there are no consequences. He learns that he can disappoint you and you will still be there. He can cancel plans and you will understand. He can put minimal effort into the relationship and you will fill all the gaps with your own energy. He can be unclear about his intentions and you will wait patiently, hoping. He can treat you as a convenience rather than a priority, and you will accept it with a smile, telling yourself that you are being mature and understanding. But you are not being mature. You are being complicit in your own diminishment. Maturity is knowing your worth and requiring others to honor it. Understanding is not the same as accepting disrespect. Now, before you sink into complete despair, before you start reviewing every relationship mistake you have ever made, before you spiral into regret about all the times you should have spoken up but did not, I want you to breathe. Because here is where everything changes. Here is where I give you the ancient wisdom that will transform not just your relationship, but your entire life. Here is where you learn what boundaries actually are, why they work, and how to implement them in a way that does not push love away, but actually invites it closer. First, you must understand what a boundary is. Most women think a boundary is about controlling someone else's behavior, about making demands, about punishment or manipulation. This is completely wrong. A boundary is not about him. A boundary is about you. It is a clear statement of what you will accept and what you will not accept. It is not a weapon. It is a compass. It guides your own behavior, your own responses, your own choices. When you set a boundary, you are not telling him what he must do. You are declaring what you will do in response to his behavior. Let me give you an example that will clarify everything. A demand sounds like this: "You must text me back within an hour or we are done." This is manipulation. This is control. This will push any self-respecting man away. But a boundary sounds like this: "I value clear communication and mutual respect. When someone consistently takes days to respond to me without explanation, I feel disrespected. I choose to invest my energy in connections where communication flows naturally." Do you see the difference? The first is about controlling his actions. The second is about honoring your own values and making choices based on how you are treated. The Kabbalah teaches us about the concept of tzimtzum, divine contraction. The Creator, who is infinite, contracted to create space for the world to exist. In relationships, you must practice tzimtzum. You must create space. You must pull back your endless availability and create a container where desire can grow. When you are always there, always responsive, always accommodating, there is no space. There is no mystery. There is no challenge. And without these elements, romantic love cannot survive. It becomes friendship at best, or obligation at worst. Here is what happens when you establish boundaries. At first, he will test them. He will push against them to see if you really mean what you say. This is not malicious. This is human nature. We all test new structures to see if they are solid or if they will collapse under pressure. When you set a boundary and he violates it, you must follow through with the consequence you established. Not angrily, not dramatically, but firmly. If you said you would not accept last-minute cancellations and he cancels last minute, you do not accept his vague promise to make it up to you. You say, "I understand things come up, but I need someone who values my time enough to plan ahead. Let me know when you are ready to make concrete plans in advance." And then you create distance. You become less available. You redirect your energy elsewhere. What happens next is crucial. One of two things will occur, and both are victories for you, even though only one feels like it at first. Either he will rise to meet your standards, recognizing that you are a woman of value who requires effort, and he will begin showing up differently, with more intention, more respect, more consistency. Or he will disappear, unable or unwilling to meet your very reasonable expectations. And if he disappears, you have just saved yourself months or years of heartache. You have just avoided the slow, painful death of being with someone who does not value you. You have just cleared space in your life for someone who will. But here is what most women do not realize. Establishing boundaries is not primarily about changing him. It is about changing you. When you set and maintain boundaries, you reclaim your power. You remember who you are. You reconnect with your own value. You stop waiting for external validation and start generating it internally. You become magnetic again, not through manipulation or games, but through authentic self-respect. And men feel this shift. Suddenly, you are different. You are not the woman who needs him. You are the woman who chooses him or chooses not to. And this choice, this discernment, this selectivity is powerfully attractive. Think about the last time someone pursued you intensely. What made that different from situations where you chased? It was the balance of power. When someone pursues you, they are demonstrating through their actions that they value you, that they want to earn your attention, that they recognize you as worth the effort. But when you chase, You reverse this dynamic. You become the one demonstrating that you value them more than they value you. And no amount of convincing will change how someone feels about you if they sense you need them more than they need you. Boundaries restore this balance. They say, I am interested in you, but I am not desperate for you. I will meet you halfway, but I will not do all the work. I value connection, but I value myself more. This is not playing hard to get. This is being hard to get, because you actually have standards, actually have a full life, actually have self-respect. And men who are worth your time will rise to this. Men who are looking for someone to use will disappear. Either way, you win. Now let me address something I know many of you are thinking. You are worried that you are too old for this, that the dating pool is too small, that men your age are looking for younger women, that if you set boundaries, you will end up alone. And I want to speak to this fear directly because it is the lie that keeps women imprisoned in unsatisfying relationships. The idea that you become less valuable with age is a societal construct designed to keep you afraid, to keep you settling, to keep you small. In Kabbalistic teaching, we understand that a soul grows richer with experience, deeper with time, more luminous with wisdom. A woman at 45 or 50 or 55 who knows herself, who has lived through challenges, who has earned her confidence, who radiates self-possession, is infinitely more attractive than an insecure 25-year-old. But only if she believes this herself. Only if she carries herself as valuable. Only if she refuses to apologize for her age, her stage, her accumulated wisdom. The man who truly wants a partner, who is ready for real love, who has outgrown ego games and shallow attraction, is looking for exactly what you have. Depth, stability, emotional intelligence, self-awareness. But he will only find you attractive if you find yourself attractive. If you believe the lie that your value has decreased, you will project that insecurity, and it will repel quality men. But if you know, truly know in your bones, that you are in your prime, that you have never been more interesting or capable or worthy of love, then you will attract men who recognize this. And here is another truth that might sting. If a man is truly only interested in much younger women, he is not a man you want anyway. He is still operating from ego, from fear of his own aging, from superficial values. He has not matured into someone capable of real intimacy. Let him chase youth. You are looking for depth. You are looking for someone who can match your emotional sophistication. And that man exists. But you will only attract him when you stop accepting less. I want to share something personal with you. During my years in the cave, isolated from normal human contact, I learned something profound about desire and value. When I finally emerged, people flocked to me, not because I chased them or convinced them of my worth, but because I had spent years deepening my connection to truth, to wisdom, to the divine light within. I was not desperate for their attention. I was not performing for their approval. I simply was who I was, completely, without apology. And this authenticity, this self-possession, this certainty in my own purpose, drew people like moths to flame. The same principle applies to your relationships. When you establish boundaries, you are not building walls. You are defining your temple. You are saying, this is sacred space. Entry requires respect. Presence here is a privilege, not a right. And a man who truly loves you will honor this. He will remove his shoes before entering. He will speak with reverence. He will bring offerings of his time, his attention, his consistency, his emotional availability. He will court you, not once in the beginning, but continuously. because he recognizes that access to you is valuable and must be earned again and again through his behavior. But you must believe you are a temple. If you see yourself as a roadside inn, open to anyone passing through, you will be treated accordingly. Men will rest there briefly, take what they need, and continue their journey. They will not stay. They will not invest. They will not build. Why would they? You have required nothing of them. So how do you begin? How do you start establishing boundaries, especially if you are already in a relationship where you have set no standards? Let me give you concrete steps, ancient wisdom applied to modern situations. First, reconnect with yourself. You cannot set boundaries for yourself if you do not know yourself. Spend time alone, real time, not just scrolling on your phone or watching television. Sit with yourself. Journal, meditate, pray, walk in nature. Ask yourself, what do I actually want? What do I need to feel loved and respected? What behaviors do I find unacceptable? What are my non-negotiables? Most women have never asked themselves these questions because they have spent their lives accommodating everyone else's needs. You must become reacquainted with your own soul. Second, identify your current relationship patterns. Look honestly at how you show up. Are you always the one initiating contact? Are you always the one making plans? Do you consistently prioritize his schedule over yours? Do you accept vague commitments? Do you tolerate inconsistent behavior? Do you make excuses for him? Write this down. See it clearly. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Third, decide your boundaries based on what you need and what you will not accept. Establish clear boundaries. These might include: I will not accept last-minute plans. I will not be intimate with someone who has not clarified their intentions. I will not be in a relationship where I do all the emotional labor. I will not tolerate being spoken to disrespectfully. I will not accept being taken for granted. Your boundaries should reflect your values and your needs. They are not arbitrary rules. They are statements of self-respect. Fourth, communicate your boundaries clearly and calmly. Not during a fight, not as an ultimatum, but in a moment of calm connection, you say, I have been reflecting on what I need to feel valued in a relationship. I realize I need clear communication and advanced planning. I need to know where I stand. I need mutual effort. Moving forward, these are important to me. You are not attacking him. You are informing him. You are giving him information about who you are and what you need. Fifth, and this is crucial, follow through. When a boundary is crossed, there must be a consequence. Not punishment, but a natural result. If he cancels last minute again after you have discussed this, you do not accept his excuses. You say, I understand. But as I mentioned, I value my time. I am going to make other plans. And then you do. You create distance. You become less available. You redirect your energy. This is not manipulation. This is self-respect. Sixth, fill your life with other things that bring you joy and meaning. This is critical. If he is your entire world, you have no leverage, no power, no alternatives. But when you have a rich, full life, friends, hobbies, purpose, passion, growth, then his presence becomes a wonderful addition rather than a desperate need. Men can sense desperation from miles away, and it repels them. But they are magnetically drawn to women who are already fulfilled, who are living vibrant lives that they might be invited to join. I know what some of you are thinking right now. This sounds manipulative. This sounds like playing games. This sounds like withholding love as punishment. But I want you to understand the difference between manipulation and self-respect. Manipulation is doing things to control his behavior for your own benefit. Self-respect is honoring your own needs and values, regardless of how he responds. Manipulation is calculating. Self-respect is authentic. Manipulation comes from fear. Self-respect comes from love. Love for yourself. The Kabbalah teaches us about Gevurah, divine judgment and boundaries. Gevurah is not cruelty. It is the divine quality that says no, that establishes limits, that creates form and structure. Without Gevurah, Chesed, divine loving kindness, becomes chaos. It spills everywhere with no container. In relationships, you need both. You need the open heart of Chesed, but you also need the firm structure of Gevurah. Your boundaries are your Gevurah. They create the container in which love can flourish rather than flood. Think of it this way. A river without banks is just a flood, destroying everything in its path, nourishing nothing. But a river with strong banks flows powerfully, nurturing everything along its course. Your boundaries are the banks. Your love is the river. Without boundaries, your love becomes destructive, to you and eventually to the relationship. With boundaries, your love flows with power and purpose. Now I want to address what happens when you have been in a long-term relationship where boundaries have never existed. Maybe you are married or have been with someone for years, and you suddenly realize you have been operating without self-respect. Can you change the dynamic? Yes, but it will be harder. He has learned over months or years that certain behaviors are acceptable. When you suddenly require different behavior, he will be confused, perhaps angry, certainly resistant. But this does not mean you should not do it. It means you must be prepared for discomfort. You approach this carefully, but firmly. You say something like, "I have been doing a lot of self-reflection, and I realize I have not been honoring my own needs in our relationship. I have been accommodating in ways that have left me feeling undervalued. This is not your fault. I never clearly communicated what I needed. But moving forward, some things need to change." And then you specify what those changes are. And then you follow through, consistently, even when he tests the new boundaries, even when he gets angry or sulks or accuses you of changing. Because you are changing. You are changing from someone who abandoned herself to someone who honors herself. And this is terrifying for a partner who has grown comfortable with the old dynamic. But if the relationship has any real foundation, if there is genuine love beneath the unhealthy patterns, he will eventually adjust. He might not like it at first. He might resist. But if he truly values you, he will rise to meet your standards. And if he does not, if he refuses to treat you with respect even after you have clearly stated your needs, then you have vital information. You know the relationship is not serving your highest good, and you can make empowered choices about your future. Let me be very clear about something that confuses many women. Boundaries are not about being cold or withholding affection or creating distance as punishment. When a man is respecting your boundaries, when he is showing up consistently, when he is treating you with the respect you deserve, you respond with warmth, with affection, with generosity of spirit. Boundaries do not mean you become hard or unavailable or constantly testing him. They mean you have standards for how you will be treated. And when those standards are met, the relationship flourishes. When they are not met, you create space until they are. It is simple cause and effect. Think of training a dog, not because men are dogs, but because the principle is similar. When a dog behaves in ways you want, you reward that behavior with affection, treats, positive attention. When the dog behaves in ways you do not want, You remove attention. You create space. You do not reward. Over time, the dog learns which behaviors lead to positive outcomes and which lead to withdrawal of attention. Humans operate similarly. We repeat behaviors that get rewarded and eventually stop behaviors that lead to loss of connection. But if you reward all behaviors equally, if you give the same affection and attention when he treats you poorly as when he treats you well, he has no incentive to treat you well. I want to share something that will help you understand male psychology, because much of what drives men is invisible to women unless you understand the principles. Men are competitive by nature. We are wired to pursue challenges, to conquer obstacles, to achieve what requires effort. This is not toxic masculinity. This is basic male psychology, rooted in thousands of years of evolution. A man feels most alive when he is working towards something valuable that is not yet his. Once something is completely achieved, completely possessed, the excitement diminishes. This is why men often pursue intensely during courtship, but become complacent once the relationship is established. The challenge is gone. The hunt is over. He has won. But a woman with boundaries reintroduces healthy challenge into the relationship. Not through games or manipulation, but through maintaining her own identity, her own life, her own standards. She is not completely possessed. She can be lost if he does not continue to show up. She requires ongoing effort. And this keeps him engaged, keeps him pursuing, keeps him valuing her. She is not a conquest that ended. She is a mystery that continues to unfold, a value that must be continuously honored, a prize that must be continuously earned. This is why the advice to just be yourself, and if he likes you, is incomplete. Yes, be yourself, but be your best self. Be the self that has standards and lives them. Be the self that knows her worth. Be the self that is selective and discerning. Not the self that is so desperate for love that she will accept anything. Not the self that is so afraid of being alone that she tolerates disrespect. Your authentic self is powerful, magical, divine. But your authentic self also has boundaries. Your authentic self knows what she will and will not accept. Your authentic self does not shrink to make others comfortable. Here is something women often do not realize. When you have strong boundaries, the right men are attracted to you precisely because of those boundaries. Quality men do not want a woman they can walk all over. They want a woman who challenges them to be better, who has standards, who requires their best self. A quality man feels pride when he meets your standards. He feels honored when you choose him despite having options. He feels motivated to maintain the relationship when he knows it is not guaranteed, when he knows he must continue to show up with intention and effort. But low-quality men are repelled by boundaries. Men who want to use you, who want convenience without commitment, who want benefits without responsibility, will disappear the moment you require anything of them. And this is exactly what you want. You want them to self-select out of your life. You want your boundaries to function as a filter, keeping out those who would waste your time and energy, allowing in only those who recognize your value and are willing to honor it. So when a man walks away because you set boundaries, do not chase. Do not explain. Do not try to convince him of your worth. His departure is the boundary doing its job. It is protecting you from investing in someone who was never going to give you what you need. Feel the temporary disappointment, yes. But then feel the relief. Feel grateful that you discovered his lack of character early rather than years into the relationship. Feel proud that you valued yourself enough to have standards. And watch what happens. Often, when you hold firm to your boundaries and a man walks away, he comes back. Not always, but often. Because once he is gone, once he experiences your absence, once he has time to reflect, he realizes what he lost. He sees other women who do not have your depth, your intelligence, your capacity for love. He compares and finds them lacking. And he comes back, usually with renewed respect, with better behavior, with an understanding that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. But here is the critical part. When he comes back, you do not immediately welcome him with open arms as if nothing happened. You have a conversation. You ask what has changed. You watch his behavior, not just his words. You see if he follows through on his promises. You maintain your boundaries. You give him an opportunity to prove he has learned and grown. But you do not give him unlimited chances. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. 3 times. That is a pattern, and you are choosing to be disrespected. Let me address another critical aspect of boundaries that women often miss. Boundaries with yourself. It is not enough to tell him what you will not accept. You must also hold yourself accountable to your own standards. If you say you will not tolerate inconsistent communication, but then you continue to engage with him when he reaches out after days of silence, you have violated your own boundary. If you say you need someone who makes you a priority, but then you rearrange your entire life to accommodate his schedule every time, you have violated your own boundary. Your boundaries are only as strong as your commitment to them. And this requires discipline. It requires that you do uncomfortable things like not responding immediately when he finally texts, like making other plans when he wants to see you last minute, like ending conversations when they become disrespectful, like walking away from relationships that do not meet your standards, even when you are lonely, even when you want it to work, even when you have invested time and energy. The Kabbalah teaches us about Mesirut Nefesh, self-sacrifice for a higher purpose. Many women think they are practicing Mesirut Nefesh when they sacrifice their needs for a relationship. But this is a misunderstanding. True Mesirut Nefesh is sacrificing your ego, your fear, your need for external validation for the higher purpose of living in alignment with your soul. It is sacrificing your comfort for your growth. It is sacrificing short-term gratification for long-term fulfillment. When you maintain boundaries, you are practicing true Mesirut Nefesh. You are sacrificing the temporary comfort of being accommodating for the higher purpose of honoring your worth. This is hard. I will not lie to you. Living with strong boundaries when everyone around you is encouraging you to be flexible, to give him another chance, to be patient, to lower your standards. This is difficult. Society has trained women to be nurturers, caretakers, peacekeepers, to prioritize harmony over honesty, to value being liked over being respected, to fear being called difficult or demanding or high maintenance. And so many women suppress their own needs, silence their own voices, shrink their own presence to avoid these labels. But I am telling you, be difficult for the wrong men. Be demanding with those who do not value you. Be high maintenance to those who want to invest low effort. And be easy, warm, generous, and loving with those who earn it through consistent, respectful behavior. Your boundaries do not make you difficult. They make you discerning. They make you wise. They make you someone who knows her worth and requires the world to acknowledge it. Here is what I want you to understand about desire and pursuit, because this is where the Kabbalistic wisdom becomes immensely practical. Desire requires separation. When two things are completely merged, completely unified, there is no desire, because there is no distance to cross. Desire exists in the gap between two beings, in the space of not yet having, in the tension of pursuit. This is why the most intense, most attraction happens in the beginning of relationships, when there is still mystery, still uncertainty, still space between you. When you eliminate all space by being constantly available, constantly accommodating, constantly focused on him, you kill desire. You create fusion instead of connection, and fusion feels suffocating. It creates obligation instead of choice. It transforms love into burden. But when you maintain healthy separation through boundaries, your own life, your own time, your own standards, you preserve the space where desire lives. He must cross the distance to reach you. He must make effort to be close to you. And in that effort, in that crossing of distance, desire is maintained and strengthened. This is not manipulation. This is understanding the spiritual mechanics of attraction and working with them rather than against them. This is recognizing that love flourishes in freedom, not possession. That respect grows through boundaries, not through unlimited access. That desire intensifies through healthy challenge, not through complete surrender. I'm going to tell you something now that might surprise you. Boundaries are an act of love. When you set boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself. You are also protecting the relationship. You are preventing resentment from building. You are stopping the pattern where you give endlessly and then eventually explode with accumulated grievances. You are creating clarity about expectations. You are teaching him how to love you well. You are giving him the opportunity to be his best self rather than his laziest self. And you are modeling self-respect, which invites him to respect you as well. A man cannot respect a woman who does not respect herself. This is spiritually impossible. He might care for her. He might feel guilty about how he treats her. He might even love her in his way. But he cannot respect her. And without respect, love becomes pity. Affection becomes obligation. Connection becomes transaction. A relationship without mutual respect is a relationship already dead, even if both people are still going through the motions. So your boundaries are actually a gift. They give him a roadmap for how to treat you. They eliminate confusion. They create security, because he knows where he stands. They invite his best self forward. Yes, they require effort from him. Yes, they mean he cannot be lazy. Yes, they mean he must consistently show up with intention. But if he truly wants you, if he truly values you, he will gladly meet these standards. And if he will not, then you have clarity. You are not left wondering if you are asking too much. You know he is incapable of or unwilling to give what you need, and you can make empowered decisions accordingly. Now let me speak to those of you who are afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid you will never find someone else. Afraid you have already wasted too much time. Afraid your chances for love are running out. I see you. I understand. And I want to speak directly to this fear because it is the prison that keeps you accepting less than you deserve. The fear of being alone is often worse than actually being alone. When you are alone by choice, when you are alone because you refuse to compromise your standards, there is dignity in that aloneness. There is peace. There is self-respect. You can look in the mirror and honor the woman looking back at you. But when you are in a relationship where you are disrespected, where you are taken for granted, where you have made yourself small, you are alone anyway. You are alone with someone, which is far more painful than being alone by yourself. At least when you are physically alone, you can fill your life with people and activities that actually nourish you. But when you are in an unfulfilling relationship, you are stuck in the specific loneliness of being unseen by someone you have made yourself vulnerable to. And here is a truth that will liberate you. You do not need a relationship to be complete. You are already whole. You are already enough. The Kabbalistic teaching is clear. Each soul is a complete world unto itself. Yes, partnership can enhance your experience of life. Yes, love can bring joy and growth and expansion. But it is not required for your worth, for your completeness, for your value. When you understand this deeply, when you truly believe this, you become free. Free to choose relationships that enhance your life rather than define it. Free to walk away from anything that diminishes you. Free to be selective, discerning, boundaried, because your happiness does not depend on anyone else's validation or presence. This is the paradox. When you need a relationship least, you attract the best relationships. When you are complete in yourself, when you are living a full, vibrant life, when you have boundaries and standards and self-respect, quality men sense this and are drawn to it. But when you are desperate, when you are empty without a partner, when you will accept anything to avoid being alone, you attract men who will take advantage of that desperation. You cannot receive a healthy relationship from a place of unhealthy need. So if you are currently in a relationship that does not honor you, where boundaries have never existed, where you have shrunk yourself, here is what I want you to do. Start today. Start now. Not tomorrow. Not after one more conversation with him. Not after you have gathered more courage. Now. Decide one boundary you will implement immediately. Maybe it is that you will not be available for last-minute plans. Maybe it is that you will not tolerate dismissive behavior. Maybe it is that you will stop initiating all contact. Pick one and commit to it completely. And then watch what happens. Watch his response. Watch how he adjusts or does not. Watch how you feel as you honor yourself. Watch how your self-respect begins to return. Watch how your inner light starts to shine again. It will be uncomfortable. At first, he will test you. He might get angry. He might accuse you of being dramatic or changing or causing problems. Do not back down. Hold firm. Your boundary is not negotiable. It is not up for discussion. It is simply how you are choosing to live your life. And as you practice this one boundary and follow through consistently, you will build the muscle of self-respect. You will remember what it feels like to honor yourself. And then you can add another boundary. And another. And slowly, over time, you will reclaim your power. You will transform the relationship, or you will gain the clarity and strength to leave it. Either outcome is a victory. For those of you who are single, who are dating, who are looking for love, I want you to establish your boundaries before you even meet someone. Decide now what you will accept and what you will not. Decide what behavior earns your time and affection. Decide what red flags mean automatic disqualification. Write these down. Make them concrete. So that when you meet someone and chemistry clouds your judgment, you have a clear guide to refer back to. And then, from the very first interaction, communicate these boundaries through your behavior. If he texts you late at night for the first time asking to come over, you decline. Not rudely, but firmly. I do not make plans last minute. Let me know if you would like to make plans in advance. If he is vague about his intentions, you create distance until he is clear. If he cancels plans, you do not immediately accommodate. You say, I understand things come up, but I have limited free time. I will reach out if my schedule opens up. You are pleasant, you are kind, but you are also boundaried, and the right man will respect this and step up. The wrong man will disappear, saving you time. Many women worry that this approach will eliminate all men, that no man will meet these standards. But I promise you, this is not true. Quality men exist. Men who are ready for real partnership, who have done their own inner work, who understand that a valuable woman requires effort, exist. But you have not been attracting them because you have been making yourself accessible to everyone, including those who are not ready, not capable, not interested in what you truly need. Your lack of boundaries has been drawing in the wrong men while perhaps repelling the right ones. Because quality men often see a woman without boundaries and understand she is not ready for a healthy relationship. When you establish boundaries, you shift your energetic frequency. You shift what you are broadcasting to the universe. Instead of broadcasting, "I am available to anyone who will have me," you broadcast, "I am selective, I am valuable, I am worth effort." And this changes everything about who and what you attract. Let me tell you about the concept of tikkun in Kabbalah, soul correction. Each of us comes into this world with specific lessons we need to learn, patterns we need to heal, aspects of ourselves we need to develop. For many women, especially those in midlife, the tikkun involves learning to value yourself, to honor your needs, to establish boundaries. This is your soul work. This is not a character flaw or weakness. This is the specific growth your soul came to accomplish in this lifetime. And relationships are often the classroom where this learning happens. The man who triggers you, who brings up your deepest wounds around self-worth, who challenges your capacity to maintain boundaries, he is a teacher. Not necessarily a life partner, but a teacher. He is showing you exactly where your work is. Instead of blaming him or trying to change him, thank him for revealing what you need to heal within yourself. And then do that healing work, regardless of whether he stays or goes. This perspective transforms everything. You are no longer the victim of bad relationships. You are the student of your own soul development. Every man who crosses your path, whether for a night or a decade, is bringing you information about yourself, about your patterns, about your wounds, about your growth edges. When you see it this way, there are no mistakes, no time wasted, no regrets, only lessons learned and soul growth achieved. And here is the beautiful part. Once you learn the lesson, you stop attracting the teachers. Once you truly establish boundaries, once you genuinely value yourself, once you integrate this wisdom fully, you stop encountering men who test these boundaries. Or when they appear, you recognize them immediately and remove them from your life swiftly, without drama, without prolonged pain. The universe stops needing to send you difficult lessons because you have learned what you needed to learn. But you must actually learn it. You must actually change your behavior. You cannot simply understand these concepts intellectually and continue acting the same way. Knowing you should have boundaries, but not implementing them, is worse than not knowing at all, because then you are consciously choosing to dishonor yourself. The wisdom I am sharing must become embodied. It must transform your actions, your choices, your responses. So let me give you a framework you can use immediately. I call it the 4-step boundary practice. Step 1. Notice. When something happens in your relationship that makes you uncomfortable, that feels disrespectful, that violates your needs, do not immediately react. Just notice. Notice the feeling in your body. Notice the thoughts in your mind. Notice what specifically bothered you. Get clear on the boundary that was crossed. Step 2. Reflect. Before responding, take time to reflect. Is this truly a boundary for you? Or is it a preference? A boundary is about respect and fundamental needs. A preference is about comfort and flexibility. You can compromise on preferences. You cannot compromise on boundaries. Get clear on which this is. Step 3. Communicate. Once you are clear, communicate the boundary calmly and directly. Not in anger, not as punishment, but as information. When you did X, I felt disrespected because I value Y. Moving forward, I need Z. Be specific, be clear, be calm. Step 4. Follow through. This is the most important step. When the boundary is tested again, and it will be, you follow through with the consequence you established. Not with anger or drama, but with calm consistency. He cancels last minute again? You say, as I shared, I do not accept last-minute cancellations. I am going to make other plans. And then you do. Every single time, no exceptions. Until he learns that your boundaries are real, they are firm, they are not negotiable. This framework works because it removes emotion from the equation while maintaining your self-respect. You are not attacking him. You are not being dramatic. You are simply being consistent with your standards. And consistency is what creates change. One firm no is worth more than 100 weak yeses. One consequence you actually follow through on is worth more than 100 empty threats. Now I want to address something specific that comes up frequently. What about when you truly love him? What about when the connection is real, but the behavior is problematic? What about when you can see his potential, his good qualities, but he is not currently treating you the way you deserve? This is where women struggle most, because love makes everything complicated. Here is what I need you to understand. Loving someone does not mean accepting whatever they offer. In fact, true love requires boundaries. Real love says, I care about you deeply, but I also care about myself. I want this relationship to work, but not at the cost of my self-respect. I see your potential, but I need you to actualize it, not just possess it as an abstract quality I believe in. Loving someone means wanting the best for them, and sometimes the best thing you can do for a man is require him to rise to meet your standards. You are not helping him by accepting his laziness, his inconsistency, his disrespect. You are enabling his lower self. The greatest act of love is sometimes creating space for growth, even if that space feels like distance, even if it risks the relationship. When you maintain boundaries with someone you love, you are saying, I believe in your capacity to be better. I believe in this relationship enough to protect it from unhealthy patterns. I love you enough to be honest about what I need, rather than silently building resentment. And a man who truly loves you will receive this as the gift it is. He might be defensive at first. He might resist the change. But if he genuinely cares, he will ultimately step up. He will do the internal work required. He will modify his behavior. He will show you through actions, not just words, that you matter to him. And if he does not, if he continues to violate your boundaries despite clear communication and reasonable expectations, then you have vital information. He does not love you the way you need to be loved. He might have feelings for you, but he is not willing or able to honor you in the ways that matter. This realization is painful but liberating. It allows you to stop waiting, stop hoping, stop trying to convince him of your worth. It allows you to grieve what you hoped the relationship would be and make empowered choices about what it actually is. It allows you to leave with dignity, knowing you did everything you could. You communicated clearly. You gave him opportunities to change. But ultimately, he chose not to meet your very reasonable standards. And when you leave a relationship from this place, from a place of having tried everything, having maintained your boundaries, having honored yourself throughout, you leave cleanly. No regrets, no wondering if you should have tried harder or been more patient or lowered your standards one more time. You know you did right by yourself. And this knowing is priceless. It protects you from the trap of going back, from romanticizing what was, from doubting your decision during lonely moments. Let me speak now to the women who have children, who are worried about how boundaries in their romantic relationships might impact their children. This is a critical issue. Your children are watching how you allow yourself to be treated. They are learning from you what love looks like, what partnership means, what self-respect requires. If you stay in a relationship where you are disrespected, where you have no boundaries, where you make yourself small, you are teaching your children, especially your daughters, to do the same. You are modeling that love requires self-abandonment, that keeping a partner is more important than keeping your dignity. But when you establish and maintain boundaries, when you refuse to accept disrespect, when you value yourself enough to require certain treatment, you teach your children invaluable lessons. You show them that love must be reciprocal, that standards are important, that being alone is better than being diminished. You model strength, self-respect, discernment. This is a gift that will impact their future relationships for their entire lives. And if maintaining boundaries means the relationship ends, you show your children that endings are sometimes necessary, that walking away from what does not serve you is an act of courage, that new beginnings are possible at any age. These are lessons that will serve them far better than watching you endure a relationship that drains your spirit. We are nearing the completion of this teaching, but before we close, I want to address the spiritual dimension of what we have discussed. In Kabbalah, we teach that the physical world mirrors spiritual realities. How you set boundaries in your relationships reflects your relationship with the divine. When you have weak boundaries with people, you often have weak boundaries in your spiritual practice as well. You allow distractions to invade your sacred time. You compromise your values under pressure. You forget to honor your own divine nature. But when you practice boundaries in relationships, you strengthen your entire spiritual framework. You remember that you are a temple, that your time is sacred, that your energy is holy, that access to your inner world must be earned through respect. This carries over into every area of your life. You become more discerning about what you allow into your consciousness, what voices you listen to, what information you consume, what environments you spend time in. Boundaries in love become boundaries in life, become boundaries that protect your soul. This is why this work is not superficial. This is not just about getting a man to treat you better or finding a relationship or avoiding heartbreak. This is about reclaiming your divine nature. This is about remembering that you are made in the image of the Creator, and the Creator has boundaries. The divine says no to chaos, establishes order, creates form, maintains standards. When you do the same in your life, you align with divine energy. You become a channel for light. And this transformation ripples out into every area of your existence. So I want you to hear me clearly. Establishing boundaries is sacred work. It is soul work. It is the work of returning to yourself, of honoring the divine within you, of refusing to allow anyone to diminish the light you carry. This is not selfish. This is not harsh. This is not unloving. This is the deepest expression of love. For yourself, for the divine, for the possibility of true partnership. And here is my final promise to you. When you do this work, when you establish and maintain boundaries, when you value yourself enough to require respect, one of two miracles will occur. Either the man you are with will transform before your eyes, rising to meet your standards, showing up differently, treating you with the honor you deserve, and your relationship will become what you always hoped it could be. Or he will reveal his true nature, by refusing to change. And you will gain the clarity and strength to release him, making space for someone who can and will honor you. Either way, you win. Either way, your life improves dramatically. This is not a gamble. This is not a risk. This is the only path forward that honors your soul. The alternative, continuing to have no boundaries, continuing to accept less than you deserve, continuing to shrink yourself, that is the true risk. That is where you lose everything. Your self-respect, your joy, your vitality, your connection to your own divine light. And for what? For a relationship that does not truly nourish you. For a man who takes you for granted. For the illusion of companionship that leaves you lonelier than solitude ever could. No, you deserve better. Not because of anything you have done or achieved or look like or possess, but simply because you exist. Your soul is valuable by its very nature, and that value must be honored, first by you, then by anyone who wishes to be close to you. This is not arrogance. This is truth. This is recognizing the divine spark within you and refusing to let anyone extinguish it. So today, right now, as you finish hearing these words, make a commitment. Commit to one boundary you will establish immediately. Just one. Do not overwhelm yourself with trying to change everything at once. Choose one area where you have been accepting less than you deserve and decide what your boundary is. Write it down. Make it concrete. And then commit to following through on it consistently for the next 30 days, no matter what. No exceptions. No justifications for why this one time is different. 30 days of complete consistency with one boundary. And watch what happens. Watch how it changes you first, before it changes anything external. Watch how your self-respect begins to return. Watch how you stand taller, speak clearer, breathe deeper. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how people respond to you differently, not just the man you are focused on, but everyone. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how you start attracting different kinds of attention. Watch how your whole world begins to rearrange itself to reflect your new internal state of self-respect. This is not magic. This is not wishful thinking. This is how the universe works. As within, so without. When you change internally, the external must adjust to match. This is spiritual law. This is ancient wisdom that has been proven true for thousands of years across every culture, every spiritual tradition. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not stuck in your patterns. You are not too old or too damaged or too far gone to change your life. Right now, today, you have the power to make a different choice, to draw a line, to establish a boundary, to honor yourself. And this one choice, this one moment of courage, can alter the entire trajectory of your life. Not immediately, perhaps, not dramatically all at once, but steadily, consistently, powerfully over time. I have given you everything you need, the understanding of why boundaries matter, the insight into male psychology, the spiritual framework, the practical steps, the encouragement, the hard truths. Now you must do the actual work. You must take what you have learned and apply it. You must move from knowing to doing. And this is where most women fail. Not in the understanding, but in the implementation. They nod along, they agree with everything, they see the truth clearly, and then they go back to their lives and continue the same patterns because change is uncomfortable, because holding boundaries requires strength, because it is easier in the moment to just accept whatever comes. But I am asking you to be different. I am asking you to be one of the women who actually transforms, who actually takes this wisdom and embodies it, who actually establishes boundaries and maintains them, who actually values herself enough to require respect. Be that woman. Not for me, not to prove anything to anyone, but for yourself, for your soul, for the life you deserve to live. You have one life. This one, right now. And every day you spend in relationships that diminish you is a day you cannot get back. Every moment you tolerate disrespect is a moment your divine light dims a little more. Every time you override your own boundaries, you betray yourself. And this self-betrayal accumulates until you forget who you truly are. Do not let this happen. Do not reach the end of your life and realize you spent it accommodating everyone else's needs while ignoring your own. Do not become one of the women who wakes up at 70 and says, "I wish I had valued myself more. I wish I had required better treatment. I wish I had known my worth." Know your worth now. Today. This moment. You are reading these words for a reason. Your soul brought you here because you needed this message. Honor that wisdom, trust that divine guidance, and take action. Set the boundary, follow through, transform your life. I am Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and I have spent my life uncovering the hidden wisdom of the universe. And I tell you with complete certainty, you are capable of this transformation. You are worthy of love that honors you. You deserve relationships that enhance your life rather than diminish it. And you have the power right now to change everything simply by deciding that you matter enough to have boundaries. Go now and live this truth. Set the boundary. Watch the miracle unfold. And remember always, you are divine, you are valuable, you are worthy of the deepest respect. Never forget this. Never compromise this. Never allow anyone to convince you otherwise. This is your birthright. This is your truth. This is your power. Claim it.